Hi again then guys, and welcome to another installment of the Automotive News Roundup, where of course we look at vehicles or news pieces that you might have missed, especially some of the more obscure stuff, and this is a very interesting idea for a car. It's something which I've always liked, and that is the melding of a high-performance exotic with a capable off-roader. The Axum Megatrack is arguably one of the best examples of that, and in recent years you could look to the Local Motors Rally Fighter as another excellent example, which was actually designed by the community of fans who loved the company. So it was almost like a car created by the fans to some degree. Now this one is technically a resurrected car from way back in 2015. It was originally going to be called the Zarouk Motors Crosstrack, I believe was still the name back then, and it was built, and still is going to be built, in the UAE. It's an Emirates vehicle. And the idea is just that, to take a high-performance, even borderline supercar, and make it a dune runner at the same time, which is an obvious choice in the Emirates. There's plenty of sand as well as plenty of roads, and why not have a car that can do both? Now, the original plan was to build about 30 of these with a 300 horsepower V6 engine, the interesting choice of rear-wheel drive rather than the obvious all-wheel drive, and despite the fact that they originally planned that V6, the customer demand even ahead of production for even more performance meant that they then swapped for, I would say, a great choice of LT1 General Motors V8 engine. Of course, General Motors V8s are excellent choices to go for. They are very popular and for good reason. They've been used in some of the greatest sports cars, to supercars, to muscle cars, to race cars. They are very tunable, easy to find parts for, and not particularly expensive, considering the spec that they can put out. And that engine back in 2015 or so was due to have about 520 horsepower, so a substantial increase over the standard motor. Now, a couple of the guys behind this were the former COO of the Yas Marina circuit, and also a French Formula 3 driver by the name of Bruno Lafitte, or Lafitte, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, and of course now that is the name of the company, so they've changed it from Zarouk to Lafitte, and it's called, I guess, the Cross Runner. Kind of like the KTM Crossbow. It could be X-Runner. I don't know. You'd have to ask them, I guess. But once again, they've changed the engine up. It is even more expensive, still limited to a production run of 30 cars. Top speed-wise, it's not phenomenal, but that's not too surprising for a car that literally has a 1.5 feet, 17 inches of suspension travel, big-ass tyres, rear-wheel drive, and is designed to go off-roading, so it's not exactly a top-speed machine. And consequently, the car is geared to do about 135, 140 miles an hour flat out. It's more so the acceleration side of things. Now, they've changed it again. It's still a GM V8, but instead of an LT1, they're using an LT3, which in its standard form has 470 horses, but you can supercharge it to 720 if you so desire. And interestingly, they are now also offering a fully electric option, which is significantly more expensive. It's about $450,000 for the V8 and $545,000 for the fully electric car, which presumably will be probably just as powerful, but likely heavier because of the battery pack. And although the design will probably meet C7 Stingray, maybe, or a new look Supra on the top of a monster truck, it's an interesting vehicle, certainly a more niched one on the market, and as I said, you could argue maybe something of a spiritual successor to the Local Motors Rally Fighter, or even the Axum Megatrack. That, to me, is the only true off-road supercar that we've ever seen, but we'll have to wait and see. Does this one have a chance? Will it reach production? Of course, we'll have to stay tuned, basically, because they've tried to do it before, didn't quite get off the ground. Here's hoping this time they will. But that's it for this news piece, of course. Stick around on the channel for more, and be sure to check out the playlist here on screen to check out the previous stories that you might have missed as well. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.